Welcome back to Red Tales. Today we take a look at a stepmom who isn't happy about her place in her stepdaughters' lives. Let's get going. I gave my husband an ultimatum and he took it. I, 50 female, married my husband Frank, 52 male, about 15 years ago. At the time, he was a widower with two young daughters, Jane, 25 female, and Lisa, 23 female. He was a widower of over 2 years and we met through mutual friends. We dated for almost a year and got married. Frank warned me that his girls would always go first, and that he would choose them over me if he had to, but I didn't take him seriously. I thought because their mum was dead, the girls would see me as a mother figure right away. Well, they never saw me as a mother. Not even as a stepmother. I was always Dad's wife. Early in our marriage, I brought up having kids. My husband refused, since the girls were still young and he didn't want them to think that he was replacing them. I respected that, but years later, he had a vasectomy because we were too old for that anyway. I still am, a stay-at-home mum and did everything to bond with my stepdaughters, but it never happened. They never included me in their lives. They left me out of important photos and I never got any Mother's Day gifts. At times I felt like their housekeeper. When the eldest, Jane, moved away to go to college, I saw an opportunity to bond with Lisa, since she was always following her sister, but it didn't work out either. She always refused to spend time with me and Frank would always take her side. We often fought and after she turned 18, she moved in with Jane, not being shy and saying that it was because she couldn't stand me. Frank visited them 3 times a week, but he never took me with him because they didn't want me there and he couldn't force them. We were a good couple and he was a good husband, but when it came to his daughters, I was left out. For example, for Christmas, he would spend the 24th with me, have dinner and presents, but he would travel on the 25th to spend it with his daughters and he never bothered to ask them to invite me. It's really frustrating. I'm not saying that they owe me anything, but I took care of them for more than 10 years. I cooked, cleaned, went to school meetings, etc., and they don't even text me for my birthday. Lisa married her boyfriend of 3 years last week. The invite only listed my husband as part of the bride's family and I was just a regular guest. Frank didn't fight it, since it was her wedding, although he paid half of it. I felt like an outsider all the time. The worst was when Lisa did a mother and bride dance with her husband's grandma, but she didn't even acknowledge me during the whole ceremony. At home, I blew up on him. How disrespected I felt, how he never did anything to bring me closer to his daughters, and how I felt like a stranger in my own family. I gave him an ultimatum that if he didn't start getting involved and being on my side, I would leave. He just nodded and said fine. Go away. I froze. He reminded me that he would always be on his daughter's side and that if I didn't like that, he wouldn't force me to stay. In the end, we left it there and we've acted as if nothing happened. It breaks my heart that he took my ultimatum like it was nothing, almost expressionless. I don't know what to do. He's a good husband, but I don't want to be an outsider in my own family. OP responded to a few questions in the comments that I think give some clarity. Commenter. It feels like you're leaving out a lot. Kids don't just do that without reasons. It seems like you were trying to replace their mother and they weren't cool with that. OP. I admit that I assumed I was going to be their mum at first and acted like one, but I dropped it after a while. When trying to bond with Lisa, I said typical mum things and she would always throw the "you're not my mum" in my face. Commenter. How pushy were you about it? Like I said, kids don't just do that for no reason. OP. At first, very pushy. In fact, I scolded them on my first Mother's Day because they didn't give me a gift. It was my husband who put a stop to it. I relied a lot on the fact that their mum is dead and that they were young. I apologized after my husband called me out on my behavior, and tried to genuinely bond with them instead of assuming roles, but the damage was done. I don't expect to be a mother now, just some recognition. It's clear OP had an idea of just stepping in and becoming the mum in a ready-made family. She was so focused on that she failed to take into account the girls were still grieving their mother. Her punishing the girls for not doing anything for her for Mother's Day and trying to force them to call her mum did nothing but cause them to resent her. I wonder about all the little things that happened through the day that could only work to reinforce that resentment. She should have let the girls set the pace of the relationship. If she had simply let them know that she loved them and their father, that she was there for them, and respected their mother's memory, it would have gone a long way towards building that relationship. They may have never formed a mother-daughter relationship, but the animosity that built up between them wouldn't have. The children should always set the pace when it comes to the step-parent-stepchild bond, especially when the other parent is recently deceased. I won't even go into the ultimatum. To think the father, who is the only surviving parent, would choose his wife over his daughters, when his wife issued the ultimatum, is absurd to the extreme. Thanks for joining us on Red Tales. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed your time here and think about subscribing to get more videos like this delivered straight to you. Have a wonderful day.